Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about the rise and fall of my radio obsession for two reasons. One, my radio obsession has a lot of parallels with my watch obsession. For those of you who know me, I have a watch obsessive situation going on in my life for the last 15 years. Wearing a Seiko Coral Monster right now. And the second reason why I want to give this is, for many years I had a radio blog. It was a subcategory of my Herculodge blog, which I started around 2006, 2005. And it was called Radio Lovers Can't Be Cured. And what I noticed from some emails from people is that going to a blog that is your hobby is a source of great comfort for you. And some people were upset, disappointed. They didn't like the transition of my blog to watches, which I don't really do a lot of blog stuff, mostly YouTube videos. I find the oral presentation to be a more powerful method of communication for me, for my type of personality. Maybe it's because I teach, I don't know. So I want to explain the rise and fall of my radio obsession. 2004, my wife and I ate dinner in Torrance, and I said to her, "Hey man, there's a Circuit City right here. Let's take a little peek inside, a little peek." My wife goes, "Oh, sure." And I really had no conscious agenda. I just want to take a little peek inside the electronics store. I go in there, I make a beeline for the radio aisle. They had a lot of radios. And I pick up this Tivoli PAL radio. It's like a blue brick with a analog dial on it. It's got a telescopic antenna. I'm holding it. I'm enjoying the tactile feel, and I just buy it for no reason. I just buy it. I take it home, and I'm really enjoying it. I like the way when I get it right on the FM station that I want, it glows this sort of this ember green color, kind of like luminosity on a Seiko diver watch. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying the speaker sound. I'm really loving this radio, but I notice it doesn't get the Pasadena FM station, KPCC 89.3, very well. It's not that sensitive on FM. So I go back to Circuit City the next day to pick up something else. I get like a Grundig S350, which grabs KPCC. It's kind of a sloppy radio, though. It drifts on AM. Kind of cheaply built, big hunk of plastic. And pretty soon I'm going to Circuit City almost every day, getting their radios. And the salesmen are looking at me. It's the crazy radio dude, man. I could just imagine my demeanor. I probably look like an archaeologist from Raiders of the Lost Ark, searching for the lost relic. That real intensity consuming me. And so eventually I want a bedside radio, man, that I can see, that works, gets KPCC. Eventually I go on a now defunct blog, website called Radios for You. This is 2005. And I get a Sangean WR2. And it works pretty well. And for some reason, though, getting this didn't stop this urge to buy more radios. I was like on the holy quest for the Grail, So on the quest for the Grail, start buying a bunch of radios, a lot online, and at this time I'm researching radios on Radio Intel. And I have a phone call with the Radio Intel founder, Ulyss from Maryland. We talk on the phone about my radios. He wants me to review one of my many radios. I had a Tivoli Songbook, which was a digital radio. I actually had 3 of them, red, blue, and black versions for various parts of the house. So I reviewed it for him, and I really loved it. I loved reviewing the radio, and I ended up buying another 100 radios. Too many radios to review for Ulyss, so I created my own blog, Radio Lovers Can't Be Cured. I had everything, man. Deegan, Kato, Texun, Grundig, Sangean, Sony, Redsoon. I had every model of every brand. It was insane, man. And I started my own blog, and I met a dude from Redondo Beach, a radio engineer from the glory days of Panasonic named Ed. He lived a mile from me. We met through my blog, and I visited his house, and his house had more radios than mine. And he says to me, "You don't really have a true radio collection." I go, "Why not, man? I got 100 radios." He goes, "You got to go vintage, bro." And so I started buying vintage radios on eBay. And the thing that Ed explained to me is that those Glory radios from the 60s and 70s made by Panasonic and Sony, especially them, but even Magnavox and RCA and Toshiba had some delicious models during that time. What he explained to me was this, listen to this carefully. Those radios were not cheap back then. You could spend $200 to $300 on a really nice Panasonic or Sony radio. But honestly, if you tried to make that radio today, Ed explained to me, we're talking $2,000 to $3,000. The circuitry was that good. And when you would get radios, like the best one I bought was a Sony ICF 5900. They're built like tanks. It's like a suitcase. It's as heavy as lead, and you can tell it's different. And the sensitivity was amazing. I remember I bought that Sony ICF 5900, and it didn't have the antenna tip on it, so I got it for a cheaper price. Didn't matter. It grabbed all the FM stations with ease. And you know, the speakers on those radios were amazing, and they really did put the modern radios to shame. To this day, I've purchased radios, the Sangean WR50. I've bought some C. Crane radios that have died within a year. I mean, the modern radios are cheap, man. So at this time, I had over 100 radios, vintage, and my wife says to me, dude, this is getting out of hand. We have 5 radios in the master bathroom. Jeff, are you okay? I'm fine, I say to my wife. She goes, why can't you put some of them in the garage? My wife says to me. And I'm like freaked out. I go, the garage? They'll oxidize. Oh my God, my radios will oxidize in the garage. So during this time, I met a lot of great people. I met Angelo from the East Coast, Ed, whom I mentioned, Tom from Arizona. There was some genius tech guy named Paul from Seattle, Washington. Met a lot of guys that were into radios. We were all into it, man. So what happened? Well, I still to this day love radios. I think I understand my obsession with them. Number one, it's a cozy security blanket. The sound of voices for me is ASMR. I love listening to talk radio, always have since I was a little kid. I love eavesdropping on conversations. Even as a 9-year-old, I would stay up late on Saturday night to watch Dick Cavett, just to be part of the adult world. Loved human voices. Nostalgia. My parents had a Panasonic RF 1060 in 1973. We traveled through Rome, Italy. I remember listening to My Love by Paul McCartney and Natural High by Bloodstone. Man, that radio was delicious. It was beautiful. So there's a lot of nostalgia and there's a lot of romance for the beautiful, well-built radios made in the 60s and 70s compared to the junk made today. So the radio obsession eventually died off. I had babies in 2010. My babies liked to rip the antennas off of radios. They would knock radios on the ground. The chassis would crack and break. That was an issue. And then what happened was I slowly began to fill my house up with Amazon Echo products. Why? Because I like to be spied on, don't you? So, you know, I can play my music on those and get any radio station I want from San Francisco to Seattle, New York, wherever, Washington. And then at night, I don't listen to the radio anymore. I listen to podcasts on my Android phone. So the radio situation came down. I want you guys to know, during my radio obsession, I did find the Holy Grail. My buddy Ed let me borrow the best radio ever built. I had it for a month. It was a mint condition Panasonic RF 2200. It was majestic, AM and FM. I should have never bought all those hundreds of radios. I should have bought just that one Holy Grail, the Panasonic RF 2200. I wonder if that parallels my watch obsession. Don't buy all this junk, just get your one Grail. For me personally, I don't know what the one watch Grail is. I don't know what the equivalent of a Panasonic RF 2200 is. So I don't know if I'm going to go there. But so the radio obsession's gone. I still have an obsession with watches. I don't even understand that particular obsession like I understand the radio one. Some kind of OCD disorder or something. Who knows? Wouldn't wish it on my friends. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you think. And until next time, I am out.